Abul Qasim. And there's a hadith, la tukannu bi kunyati, don't use my kunya. They say that that's only in his time. I mean, there's a khilaf, but the majority of ulama said it was only for his time so that people wouldn't have his name. They also tended to avoid that name, the Prophet ﷺ, because they never wanted to hear the Prophet, his name cursed or spoken ill of, which is why in some cultures they actually change, like they go from Muhammad to Mehmet. They actually change it for that reason. He's really trying to wake people up, because when you look out there and see what people are doing, it's quite shocking, because most people are just in their egocentric worlds, concerned about themselves and not about others. And then they end up, when the time comes, they're willing to go to war and kill other people. They're willing to do horrible things. It's amazing. So do not think that the majority of them hear or use their intellects. Rather, they're like livestock. They're even more astray. The reason they say more astray, Allah says more astray, is because one of the hallmarks of an animal is it's first of all, it's always vigilant. Like if you think about animals, they're always vigilant. Even the cows, when they're just eating, if somebody comes, they get up immediately. And if they think there's any danger, they run. You'll see them run away. If they see a fire, they go the opposite direction. If they see a tornado, the animals go the opposite. If people see tornadoes, they get their cameras out and they chase them in their car. Right? I mean, this is human nature, is that the majority of people, they don't even look after their own welfare. So that's what he's saying, is that do you think these people actually hear and think? They're just going through the motions. وَقَدْ أَنْبَأْتُ فِي هَذِهِ رِسَالَةً عَنْ جُمْلَةِ الْمَوْجُودَاتِ. I have told in this epistle about the summation of existent things, وَمَكَانَ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْهَا, and the place of the human being in the midst of these created things, وَمَبْدَئِهَا وَمَنْشَئِهَا, where they began, how they were formed, and how they end. وَمَا جُعِلَ لَهُ مِنَ السَّعَادَتَيْنِ فِي الدَّارَيْنِ بِاكْتِسَابِ الْإِنسَانِيَّةِ وَكَيْفِيَّةِ التَّطَرُّقِ إِلَيْهَا. And what was given of the two felicities, the two joys, the two states of happiness, فِي الدَّارَيْنِ, in both abodes, by acquiring one's humanity, that's how you get the sa'adah. And then I show you how to do it. You know, how do you move in degrees towards this thing? So that's what this book is going to do. He's going to show you, first of all, what you are. So this is an explanation of what the human being is. But then he's going to show you what you should be, what Allah expects you to be, and then how to get that. Of the obligation of a human being to know him or herself. So to know that you should know something and that you don't know it is a type of knowledge. Like to know that you should know something and yet you don't know it is a type of knowledge. Because amongst the knowledge is knowing that you don't know. وَعِلْمَ الْإِنسَانِ بِجَهْلِهِ أَحَدُ الْعِلْمَيْنِ. And this is why Imam Malik radiyallahu anhu said, لَا أَدْرِي نُصْفُ الْعِلْمِ. To say I don't know is half of knowledge. And that's why when the great Zuhri was in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and he saw a man do taslimatain. It's in the Aridat al-Ahwadi. He did a taslimatain because Aisha radhiyallahu anha said, كَانَ تَسْلِيمَةُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ تَسْلِيمَ وَاحِدًا, that he would do his salam like in the janazah prayer. Assalamu alaikum, just one. This is a khilaf, the madhab's different on this. In any case, the point being, when Zuhri saw this man doing two, which was not the actions of the people of Medina, he said, where did you get that, the second taslima? And he said, عن فلان عن فلان عن ابن مسعود أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يسلم تسليمتين. He said, I don't know that hadith. And the man said to him, he was from Iraq. He said, أحط بحديث رسول الله كله? Did you know all the hadiths of the Prophet? He said, no. He said, ثلثي, 2/3? He said, no. He said, نصف? He said, نعم. He said, half? He said, yes. He said, حطه في النصف اللي لا تعرف. Put it in the half you don't know. Right? وضحك الزهري. It showed he had a good sense of humor. He laughed at that. The point being is that to say I don't know is important. And that's why it's very arrogant. The modern muhaqqiqun, they always say, La asla lahu. They should say, La ma'athir alayh. I couldn't find it, or ma warad, or, ma wajadtu fi. The earlier ones, they usually say something like that. If you look at their tahqiq, they don't use that absolute thing. Unless it's clearly fabricated, then it is. But there's a lot of hadith that were lost. Then he says, وقال ابن عباس من لم يجد مس نقص الجهد في عقله وذل المعصية في قلبه ولم يستبن موضع الخلة في لسانه عند كلال حده عن حد خصمه فليس ممن ينزع عن دنية ولا يرغب عن حال معجزة ولا يكترث لفصل ما بين حجة وشبهة. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, very important Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he said, whoever does not find some sense of the deficiency of his ignorance in his intellect and the humiliation of his disobedience in his heart, and does not see the place of need in his tongue when it grows tired when you're debating with somebody and it loses its ability to be precise. This type of person will never be able to free himself from low things. And he will not, and he won't rise above his incapacitated state. And nor will he be concerned about discerning between clarity and confusion, between proofs and obfuscations. It's very, very interesting. So khalla is need. So for people studying Arabic here, khulla, this is one of the muthallathat. So the muthallathat, there's a famous text by Imam Qutrab, which is the muthallathat. And it's really important because you can really make mistakes in Arabic. So khalla is need. Khulla is friendship. And khilla is the food between your teeth that you khalliluhu when you do takhlil. There's other meanings as well, but those are the dominant ones. To the degree with which somebody knows the benefit of a thing, he will be covetous in seeking it. وَيَصْبِرُ عَلَى تَحَمَّلِ الْمَشَقَّةِ فِي تَحْصِيلِهِ. And he will be patient about bearing the hardships in its acquisition. وَلِذَلِكَ قَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِي صِفَةِ مَنْ جَهِلَ نَفْعَ مَطْلُوبِهِ وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. So this is Musa wal Khidr. So when Musa, somebody asked him a question about, was there anybody more learned? And he didn't know that there was, because he was the prophet of the time. And so Allah directed him to this man who was given ilm ladunni, a type of knowledge that is, there's a khilaf about it, what type of knowledge it is. But in any case, it just says immediate knowledge. It's a type of direct knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when he asked, he said to al-Khadr, هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا? Will you allow me to follow you to learn something of what you have been taught of knowledge? And the Ahl al-Tafsir point out that he asked with great adab by saying ulimta and used the passive verb, what you have been given of knowledge, right? Not what you know, what you have been given of knowledge. And so he says, when he says to him, to ask that, قَالَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعِ مَعِيَ الصَّبْرَ. You won't be able to be patient with me. So then they go through their journey and he keeps asking him questions and he finally tells him in the end, هَذَا فِرَاقُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنِكَ. This isn't working out. And then he gives him the ta'wil of everything. And what's interesting, when he gives him the ta'wil, he tells him, ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْتِعْ. And he doesn't say تَسْتَطِعْ. So in the first one he says, لَن تَسْتَطِعْ. You will not be able to bear with me. So as you know, زِيَادَةَ الْمَبْنَى تدل على زيادة المعنى. You have more letters in the word, there's some more complexity in the meaning. So once he learns, he gives them the tasdi'. He removes the ta and gives them the tasdi', because now he understands. Musa. فَاعْرَفْ أَيُّهَا الْفَاضِلِ. And this is something, I mean, he's maybe talking to the wazir, but he's also talking to us. And this is something that the ulama do. When they write their books, they often call you by your virtue, because they're calling to something high in you, trying to awaken that in you. So know the fadilat al-insaniyya, the virtue of being human, of achieving humanity. Know the virtue of it. وَمَا أُعِدَّ مِنَ الْفَلَاحِ لِمَنْ تَزَكَّى. And what has been prepared of success from the one who has purified himself or herself. كَمَا قَالَ تَعَالَى قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. He has succeeded, the one who has caused the soul to grow. Zakkaha. So zakka, yuzakki, is to purify, but it's also to make grow, to make something grow. So you're growing in your humanity. And then he says, هي المكارم لا قعبان من لبن شيب بماء فعاد بعد أبوالا. This is from a long qasida that he actually quotes here. But it's basically, these are the makarimu. لا قعبان من لبن. Qa'b is what you put the leban in, or qa'b. Like they still use that word in Mauritania when you milk. So what they used to do is water the milk to make more, so they feed more people. But when you get a really generous host, he gives you the full milk. He doesn't water it down. And that's why he says that these virtues are not like the two qa'ban of milk, shiba bima'in, that have been mixed with water, fa'ada ba'du abwala, and then you just urinate it out, right? Like this is the real thing. وَلَا يَكَأَدَّنَّكَ بُعْدَ الْمَشَقَّةِ. Don't be worried or confused from ka'ada yaka'adu. Don't be worried or confused about the distance. وَفِعْلُ مَنْ يَرُوقُكَ طَاقَهُ وَرِوَاقَهُ. And don't also be deluded by the actions of the one whose taq and riwaq impress you. So the taq is the garment, the taylasan. So he's saying, don't be deluded by nice garments and nice houses. Riwaq is it's what we call an antechamber. So the riwaq is like if you go to a palace, they always have these large antechambers where people wait. If you go to houses of wealthy people, they often have a pretty big antechamber where there's usually like places you put your sit and put on your shoes or something. So that's what he's saying. Don't be impressed by those things. فَإِنْ جَاوَزْتَ كِسْوَتُهُ إِلَيْهِ فَلَيْسَ وَرَاءَ عَبَّادَانِ قَرْيَةٍ. There's a proverb, لَيْسَ وَرَاءَ عَبَّادَانِ قَرْيَةٍ, meaning after abadan there's nothing. Like in Morocco they say Fas wa Maknas ma waraha nas. After Fez and Maknas, there's no people. So it's the same idea. So he's saying once you get past the clothes, you'll see there's nothing there. بَلْ لَا تَرَوْا إِلَىٰ عَبْدٍ لِحَجَرٍ. You'll see he's a servant of stones, وَمَدَرْ, and mud, أو بهيمة, or animals, أو ذعينة, or their vehicle, like a car or something. I mean, ذعينة is the rahila, but now he would say car. Like these people that collect, like, these wealthy people, how many cars do you need? It's amazing. They'll have all these cars. How many cars do you need? Well, how many to get to where? You can only be in one place at one time. You can only be in one room at one time. If you have a palace with 50 rooms, you can only be in one at one time. It's like the billionaire who celebrated her birthday with the daughter of the billionaire who celebrated her birthday with 2 birthday cakes. How much can you eat? So that's what he's saying. It's just, and that's why he quotes the Prophet ﷺ, كَمَا ذَمَّهُ النَّبِيُّ. The Prophet ﷺ, he censored this one. تَعِيسَ عَبْدُ الدِّرْهَمْ تَعِيسَ عَبْدُ الدِّينَارِ تَعِيسَ وَانْتَكَسْ وَإِذَا شِيكَ فَلَنْتَقَشْ. So he says, ta'isa is a negative term. Ta'asan lahu. perish. Perish the servant of the dirham. Perish the servant of the dinar. There's a riwayah from Imam Ali radiallahu anhu who says, "Ad-dinar dinu nar, wa dirham daru ham." You know, the dinar is the way of hell, and the dirham is just an abode of stress. Daru ham. So he says here, "Ta'isa wa intakas," perish and you know, fall back, get sick again. وَإِذَا شِيكَ فَلَنْتَقَشْ. And this is like a dua. May the tweezers fail. You know, like the thorns. If he gets a thorn, may he fail to get it out. The minqash is what they use to pull the thorn out. So فَإِذَا شِيكَ فَلَنْتَقَشْ. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَيْسَ يَحْسُنُ بِذِي هِمَّةٍ قَدْ أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ فِي خَلْقِهِ وَخُلُقِهِ وَقَيَّضَ لَهُ مَنْ رَبَّاهُ فأحسن تربيته وأزاح في معاونته بعد بلوغه. He says علته in the text. I think that might be علته. الله أعلم. أن يرضى بأن يكون حيوانا وقد أمكنه أن يصير إنسانا وبأن يكون إنسانا وقد أمكنه أن يصير ملكا وبأن يكون ملكا وقد أمكنه أن يصير ملكا في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر. No. And that it's not appropriate for anybody who has real aspiration, that Allah has done so much for them in their creation and in their character, and has given them those who raised them and did a good job at raising them, and removed from them by His providential care, once they achieve their adulthood, any weakness. Also, Allah is things that the toys. ما يتلهى به لعل. So it's like once you reach bulugh, you're not playing, you're not a child anymore. When we were children, we did the things of children. Now that we're adults, let us do the things that adults do. So وأن يرضى بأن يكون حيوان, or that he would be content that he should be content that he's an animal and Allah has given him the ability to become a human, or that he's a human and Allah has given him the ability to become an angel, or an angel and Allah has given him the ability to be a king. Like, how could you be content if you have the potential, if Allah has given you the God-given potential to achieve higher and higher heights while you have this time on earth? What are you doing? What are you doing with your lives? Why are you wasting your lives not achieving your human potential? And that's why في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر, sitting in this true station with the all-powerful King. فتقوم الملائكة بخدمته كما قال الله تعالى والملائكة يدخلون عليهم من كل باب سلام عليكم بما صبرتم فنعم عقبى الدار. Or the angels are at your service because they pray for you, and they say, dunya, serve the one who serves Allah, and tire out the one who serves you. So the angels, when they enter in upon them from every door, they say, peace be upon you because of your patience. What a blessed final abode you have. وفقنا الله تعالى بذلك ولا جعلنا من الكسالى الموصوفين بقوله تعالى لو كان عرضا قريبا وسفرا قاصدا لاتبعوك ولكن بعدت عليهم الشقة. Subhanallah. So may Allah give us tawfiq to be like that, and may He not make us among the lazy ones, the ones that He describes in His word. لو كان عرضا قريبا, if it was near ghanima. This was said about the munafiqun when they were told to go out in Tabuk, and they chose not to go out. They made excuses. Oh, we have to farm, we have to do this, that. But had it been easy pickings, وَسَفَرًا قَاصِدًا, or a close nearby journey, لَاتَّبَعُوكَ, they would have followed you. وَلَكِنْ بَعُدَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الشُّقَّةِ, but they saw, shukka is safar, ba'id, right? Shukka. That's why yashukku alayk. When you go on a journey, yashukku alayk. For shukka is ba'id. It's a long journey. So he's saying, the most amazing thing about this book to me is how he uses the Quran. I haven't seen any other scholar use the Quran with the facility, the ease with which he uses the Quran to substantiate every single thing he says. So he's saying, this is a hard journey. It's a tough journey. It's not easy. This is difficult. But don't be like those people who think, oh, it's just, if it was an easy thing. If it's not hard, it's not worth it. There's nothing in this dunya Allah gives you with ease that's worth anything. And that's why people are honored who master things, even stupid things. You know, people can shoot 3-pointers one after another, and they're just held up. Why? Because they went out every day for 8 hours a day, and they wasted their entire youth mastering how to put a ball into a hoop. And because they did that, because they went through that difficulty and that discipline, people acknowledge it. That's the dunya. People will acknowledge excellence, but they will not acknowledge batala. They won't acknowledge the hobo or the bum. You can have all your sentimentality about these things. We're all equal. We're not all equal. We're not all equal. We're given equal capacity to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to some degree. In other words, everybody has the ability, from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high, to have some degree of knowledge of Allah. But people are vessels. There's quarts, there's pints, there's little those thimbles. But everybody can have the cream that God has designated to know Him. And so he's saying it's difficult. Don't be like those munafiqun, who they would have followed you had they not seen, this journey is too difficult, it's too hard. جعلنا الله وإياك من المؤمنين الموصوفين بقوله هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم. Those who the sakina came down in the hearts of the believers in order for them to increase in faith with their already existing faith, so they're growing. وبقول أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان وأيدهم بروح منه. Those who Allah has decreed, has written in their hearts faith, and has supported them with ruh minhu. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ used the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, ruh al-Qudus. He said when Hassan ibn Thabit was going to recite some poetry against the mushrikeen, he said, "Ahju wa ayyadaka bi ruh al-Qudus." So there's angelic inspiration. There's angels that will inspire you. There's your own ruh will be supported. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you lutf and enable you. حتى لا نغتر بما هو كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا. So don't be like the people. Their actions are like a mirage. بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء. The one who's thirsty sees water, the mirage in the desert. He sees water. And then he comes to it and he finds nothing. وَوَجَدَ اللَّهِ عِنْدَهُ. That's where he'll realize, oh, I wasted my life. وَجَدَ اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ فَوَفَّاهُ حِسَابُهُ. Allah will then requite him for his bad deeds. وَاللَّهُ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. Allah is quick in reckoning. What time is it? 6:30. So that's the first chapter. That's Muqaddimah. Let me quickly go through just so you can get an idea of what he's going to do. This is not long. So the first chapter, which I'll do in the next class, which to me is one of the most important. I mean, the nice thing about this book is it answers most of the questions people have. And this book is not just for Muslims. This is an anthropology based on reality. It really is. Anybody that reads this with an open heart, I think they have to realize that the profound truth of what's in this book is just so clear. And he covers everything. He tells us the 7 reasons why people differ in their abilities. The first one being genetics. He calls it tina wa amzija. The actual material that you're made of. People are made of different material. And we don't know. These are mysteries of why some people are given, some people have immense health in this life, some people have great health tribulations. These are the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has determined. Some people can eat all they want, they don't gain any weight. Other people eat not even very much and they gain a lot of weight. These are the genetics of people that differ based on where you came from, who your parents were, who your ancestors were, what type of food you were raised on, many, many things. But he goes through all of them. He explains the mystery of iniquity. It's amazing, his understanding of why evil afflicts people and comes down to them. He gives, so the first chapter is Ma'rifatul Insan Nafsu, is self-knowledge, like the importance of self-knowledge and why self-knowledge and knowledge of God are so inextricably bound, why they're so related. The second chapter is Dhikru Ajnas al-Mawjudat, looking at the different genuses of existent things. وَمَوْضِعِ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْهَا, and the position that the human being has in those things. The third chapter, ذِكْرُ الْعَنَاصِرَ الَّتِي أُوجِدَ الْإِنسَانُ مِنْهَا, the elements that the human being was created from them. The fourth chapter, ذِكْرُ قُوَّ الْأَشْيَاءِ الَّتِي جُمِعَتْ فِي الْإِنسَانِ, looking at the potentialities that are gathered in the human being. تَكَوُّنَ الْإِنسَانِ شَيْئًا فَشَيْئًا. The fifth chapter looks at how the human being was created one thing after another, حَتَّى يَصِيرَ إِنسَانًا كَامِلًا, until he becomes a complete human being. And it's amazing because he shows how Adam went through 7 stages, and each one of us go through 7 stages in the wombs of our mothers. So he shows how the khalq of Adam and our khalq is related. And then in the 6th chapter, ظهور الإنسان في شعار الموجودات وتخصيصه بقوة شيء فشيء منها. Is the manifestation of the human being as this amidst all of these created things, this special position that he has been given. The 7th is mahiyatul insan. What is the essence of the human being? What's his essence? The 8th chapter, al-insan mustalahan lid-darain. Why the human being is uniquely created for these 2 abodes. He's uniquely made commensurable with these 2 abodes. The 9th chapter is tamthilu dhat al-insan wa taswiruhu, is the analogies of the essence of the human being and its conceptualization. The 10th chapter, كون الإنسان هو المقصود من العالم وإيجاد ما عداه لأجله, that the human being is the purpose of the entire world, and everything other than it was created for him. He has subjugated everything. This is called the strong anthropic principle, that everything is clearly suited for the human being. The 11th chapter is الغرض الذي لأجله وجد الإنسان, the aim that for its reason or its purpose the human being was created. The 12th chapter, تفاوت الناس ومنازلهم واختلافهم, the differences of the differences that human beings have, يتفاوتون, how they differ with one another. And the Prophet ﷺ said that my ummah will remain well as long ما زال يتفاوتون, as long as there's people of different degrees in the community. He said, فَإِذَا تَسَاوَى هَلَكُوا, when they all become the same, mediocrity. With this, the modern world is to make everybody the same. They talk about equity and equality and all these things, to make everybody the same, to remove excellence from the world, to remove those things which distinguish people from other people. All the children get a trophy, so there's no first place. Everybody feels good about themselves. Everybody feels wonderful about being mediocre. Right? This is the modern world, and that's what and this is what C.S. Lewis in The Abolition of Man makes that incredible prescient argument about what's coming when everything will be about equality. We're equal before the law. Everybody should have equality before the law, but there's no equality in the world. Equality is a mathematical concept, and even equality before the law, you're lucky. I mean, it's very difficult to get equal judge because people can afford better lawyers than other people. There's always those problems. One would hope there should be, and we should strive for equality before the law. And we should strive for a greater, more equitable world in terms of the needs of people. That's true. But this idea that we're all going to be the same, this communist idea, what they call the immanentization of the eschaton, bringing down the paradise. Even in paradise, there's differences. There's hierarchy in paradise. Even in paradise, there's outstrippers. As-sabiqun, ulaika al-muqarrabun. The sabiqun aren't the same as ashab al-yamin. Ashab al-yamin are not the same as ashab al-shimal. Not the same. You're born into a hierarchy when you come into the world. Your parents, you're born into a family. There's an older brother, older sister. This is going to determine qualities even in your personality. I mean, just being born into a family is born into a hierarchy. Your father and your mother. But they want to remove all of that. So parents don't have rights over their children. If a child wants to go get an operation when they're still a child, what right does the parent have? I mean, this is the type of world. It's a madness. And people go mad. Societies go mad. That's happened many times in history. Societies go mad. So he explains why people differ. And then there's different stations. The Prophet said, "Umirtu an unazzila an-nas manazilahum." I was commanded to treat people according to their manzila. And there's otherworldly manzila, and then there's worldly manzila. I mean, one of the last bastions of respect is with medical doctors. They still call them doctor. But teachers just first name basis. Everybody's first name. Hello, like first name. I mean, there was a time when nobody would call you by your first name. They would call you by your family name. Or they would say, like the Arabs say, Abu Yahya or, Ibn Fulan, something. But this familiarity breeds contempt. This world where everybody's the same. Buddy, pow, pow. Slap on the back. It's not the world that breeds excellence. It's the world that breeds slavish, empty, vacuous, mediocre at best people. That's the world. Honoring excellence is something part of our religion. Inna Allah yuhib al-abdi idha amil abdan an yutqinahu. Katba al-ihsana ala kulli shay'. Allah has decreed excellence in everything. And so those people that do those things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will love them. And when He loves them, He puts their love in the hearts of people. That's if you want people to like you, just be excellent with everything you do with God, and God will put the love into people's hearts. If you try to acquire the love of people, you'll never get it. You'll never get it. So, and then he says, بيان الشجرة النبوية وفضلها على الجوهر سائر البرية, also explaining prophetic lineage and why it's preferred essentially over the rest of creation. هداية الأشياء إلى مصالحها, how God guides everything to its benefit. سعادة الإنسان ونزوع إليها, the felicity of the human being and his inclination towards it. حال الإنسان في دنياه, the state of man in this world. وما يحتاج إلى أن يتزود منها, and what each human being needs to take as provision from this world. The 13th chapter, the 18th chapter, تظاهر العقل والشرع, the aql and the shara and their relationship. وافتقار أحدهما إلى الآخر, and the need for one and the other. They need each other, the aql and the shara. 19th, في فضيلة الشرع, in the virtue of sacred law. The 20th, بيان أن من لم يتخصص بالشرع وعبادة ومن لم بالشرع وعبادة الرب فليس بإنسان. The one who does not practice the Sharia and devotional practice to his Lord, they lose their humanity. يتعلق بالشرع من أفعال الإنسان. The 21st is what's related to the Sharia from the actions of the human being. تحقيق العبادة, the 22nd chapter, is how to achieve devotional practice. أنواع العبادة, 23rd, the types of ibadah, من علم والعمل, knowledge and action, because he's very committed to knowledge. He considers it the single most important thing for the human being in his achievement of his humanity or her humanity. The 24th chapter, الغرض من العبادة والتطهير النفس واجتناب صحتها, the purpose of ibadah, purification of the soul, and acquiring the acquisition of the health of the soul. The 25th is amrad, clarifying the diseases and the foulness of, that can only be removed by sacred law. القوة التي يجب إزالة أمراضها, the powers that are needed to remove the sicknesses of the heart and their pollutants and the meanings that will achieve that. كون الإنسان مفطورا على إصلاح النفس, the fact that the human being by his nature is made to rectify his soul. The 28th سبب رذيلة الإنسان, why human vice is prevalent in the human being and why he delays himself from practicing virtue. 29 أحوال الناس ومنازلهم في تعاطي الأفعال المحمودة والمذمومة وطرقها, the stations of the human being in acquiring praiseworthy actions and also the blameworthy and their ways. The 30th chapter, ارتداد الإنسان عن طريق الخير والشر, human being, how they retrograde on the path of both good and evil. The 31st, قدر ما في الوسع من اكتساب السعادة, what's necessary, just the amount that's needed to achieve felicity. And then the 32nd, إثبات المعاد وفضيلة الموت, the veracity of the afterlife and also the virtue of death. وما يحصل بعده له من السعادة, and what occurs after death from felicity. And then finally, فضل الإنسان إذا شرف على الملك, the virtue of the human being when he's honored above the angels themselves. So those are the chapters. They're not long, but they're really stunning.